Somewhere deep within the silence of your suffering, beyond the grasp of medicine or diagnosis, lies a question few dare to ask. What if your illness isn't just physical? What if the body's breakdown is a sacred message, a signal from the soul? Paramhansa Yogananda, the beloved spiritual teacher and author of Autobiography of a Yogi, didn't shy away from this mystery. He didn't reduce disease to just biology, nor did he offer empty promises of magical healing. He taught something far more profound, that the body is a canvas upon which the soul paints its inner conflicts, and sometimes those brushstrokes take the form of fatigue, pain, or chronic illness. But before we dive into the depths of spiritual healing, let's be clear. This is not about blaming the sick. Yogananda never preached guilt. He taught awareness. Awareness that we are multidimensional beings, and that true healing must begin not in the bloodstream, but in the thought stream. He once said, "Man's body is literally manufactured and sustained by mind." And this wasn't metaphorical. He meant it. To Yogananda, your thoughts were not just fleeting clouds in a mental sky. They were builders, engineers, programmers of your cellular reality. He shared a powerful story about his own life. As a young man, he struggled with weak digestion. No tonic helped, no doctor could fix him. He felt fragile, inferior, until one day his guru, Sri Yukteswar, looked at him and said, "Mukunda, you look weak because you believe you are weak." That simple statement cracked something open in him. It wasn't just about affirmations, it was about conviction. Sri Yukteswar explained, "If you believe you are strong, truly believe it with every cell of your being, then your body will respond." This wasn't positive thinking, this was metaphysical alignment. And when Yogananda shifted his belief, his body transformed. The weakness dissolved. He realized what his guru meant, that disease often begins when the soul's energy is blocked by mental resistance. In yogic science, the body is a map. Every organ, every cell is infused with prana, life energy. When prana flows freely, health blossoms. But when it is obstructed by fear, guilt, grief, or unprocessed trauma, the blockage manifests physically. To heal, then, is not merely to treat symptoms. It is to trace the symptom to its spiritual root. Yogananda would ask, "What is your illness trying to teach you? What belief, what wound lies beneath it?" He taught that every chronic condition carries a lesson. Ulcers might whisper of suppressed anger. Fatigue could signal the soul's exhaustion from living a false life. Skin issues might reveal shame that refuses to surface. The body, he said, doesn't lie. It speaks what the lips won't, and yet our culture rarely listens. We pathologize, we medicate, we numb, but we rarely pause and ask, what does this pain want me to know? That's the sacred pause Yogananda invited his students into. He saw disease not as punishment, but as a divine alarm clock. You do not have to be the victim of the body, he taught. You are the master of your thoughts, and through them, the master of your destiny. So how do we begin to heal spiritually? Yogananda offered a path both practical and profound. Step 1. Conscious thought. Every day, he urged, hold one powerful idea, repeat it, visualize it, feel it in your bones. I am the master of my body, I am whole, I am light, I am love. Not as a mantra of desperation, but as a commandment of truth. This is not wishful thinking. It is vibrational reprogramming. When you hold a thought with unwavering belief, you alter your energy field, and energy precedes matter. Step 2. Deep meditation. Meditation, he said, is not escape. It is return to the source. When you meditate deeply, the body's tension dissolves, the mind's noise quiets, and in that stillness, healing begins. Yogananda taught specific techniques, like Kriya Yoga, to accelerate this inner healing. But even simple breath awareness practiced daily can shift your entire nervous system. Healing begins when the soul is heard. Step 3. Faith. Not blind belief, but cellular certainty. Yogananda once said, "Faith is a knowing in the heart beyond the reach of proof." He told stories of people who healed from incurable diseases not because of treatment, but because they finally believed they were worthy of health. When the heart stops resisting, the body stops breaking down. This is the true medicine, alignment. The soul aligned with truth, the mind aligned with peace, the body aligned with vitality. But here's where it gets real. Healing doesn't always look like recovery. Sometimes it looks like surrender. Surrendering the fantasy of perfect health. Surrendering the identity built on struggle. Surrendering to a deeper rhythm. Yogananda knew that not every disease would disappear, but he taught that suffering was never wasted. It is the soul's crucible, and from it you either emerge bitter or blessed. He often quoted the Bhagavad Gita. The soul is never born, nor does it die. The body may fall ill, the cells may falter, but you are not your symptoms. You are the witnessing presence, the eternal spark. When you realize this, not just intellectually, but viscerally, everything changes. You begin to treat your body not as a machine, but as a temple. You stop fighting your illness and start listening to it. You shift from victim to seeker, and in that shift, the healing begins. So if you are suffering now, not just physically, but spiritually, emotionally, know this: you are not broken. You are being spoken to. Your pain is not meaningless. It is a message. And your healing is not just possible, it is sacred. Beneath the diagnosis, beneath the fear, beneath the ache, there is a quiet power waiting to rise. It does not shout, it whispers, and its message is this: you are whole, you are light, you are not the body, you are the soul that can heal it. Because healing, in Yogananda's view, was not an event. It was a return, a remembering, a slow, sacred turning back to the truth that was never lost, only forgotten. And that truth is this: you are energy. You are awareness. You are not confined by your biology. You are the force that animates it. But how? Easily we forget. We identify so deeply with the body, with the ache, with the label. I have this condition. I am this diagnosis. We become fused to the story, and the story becomes a cage. Yogananda gently asked his disciples, who would you be without that story? This is not denial. It is transcendence. It's seeing your condition without becoming it. It's acknowledging pain without becoming its prisoner. He taught that even karma, the spiritual cause of many diseases, was not a life sentence. Karma, he said, is like a wound that must be seen, accepted, and then lovingly released through conscious action and divine grace. You can burn up lifetimes of karma, he said, with the fire of deep meditation and divine devotion. And what does that look like? It looks like stillness. It looks like sitting quietly, watching the breath, letting the mind settle like dust in still water. It looks like praying not for miracles, but for clarity, for strength, for inner peace, even in the absence of outer ease. It looks like repeating, not just in your head, but in your heart: I am not this pain. I am not this story. I am the soul behind it all. That's where the healing begins, not in struggle, but in surrender, because real healing doesn't fight the darkness. It brings light into it. It sits with the wound like a friend, not an enemy. It listens. It honors. It softens. And slowly, gently, the body begins to trust again. The nervous system unwinds. The energy begins to move. The breath deepens. The cells remember what wholeness feels like. Yogananda saw this again and again. He watched people heal when they let go of resentment. He saw recovery in those who chose forgiveness over fury. He witnessed physical transformation when people simply stopped betraying their truth. He said, holding hate is like drinking poison and expecting another to die. So many of our ailments, he believed, were born from held hatred toward others, toward ourselves, toward the past. Healing is not about fixing, it's about freeing. And sometimes, that freedom begins with forgiveness. Forgive the one who hurt you. Forgive the body that failed you. Forgive the version of yourself who didn't know better, and then choose thoughts that nourish, not punish. Choose silence over shame. Choose rest over resistance. Choose to believe, deeply, wildly, that you are capable of healing, because here's the paradox: the more you believe in your wholeness, the faster your body can remember it. Yogananda taught that your soul carries a vibration. And when that vibration is elevated, through love, through truth, through spiritual practice, your whole being begins to resonate with health. Not just physical health, but emotional resilience, mental clarity, spiritual peace. This is the deeper healing. The kind that doesn't just restore your body. It restores your relationship to life. You begin to walk differently, slower, softer, more present. You start to eat like it's a prayer, not a punishment. You breathe like it matters. You stop fighting your body and you start befriending it. That's what Yogananda meant when he said the body is an instrument. It is not the music, it is the flute. The melody is the soul, and when the soul leads, the body follows. So if you're in pain right now, pause, close your eyes. Place your hand on your heart. Feel that pulse? That is not weakness. That is power. That is divine energy flowing through you, asking for your attention. Not your fear, your presence. Be with your body like you would a child. Not with criticism, but with care. Ask it what it needs. Listen to its answers. And most importantly, speak to it with love. Say to it, I hear you. I trust you. We are in this together, because you are. And you always have been. Yogananda taught that the body responds best not to control, but to communion. When you see your body not as an obstacle, but as a sacred partner, everything begins to shift. You stop asking, what's wrong with me? And start asking, what is this teaching me? And suddenly, even the illness becomes sacred. Even the fatigue becomes a teacher. Even the pain becomes a portal back to truth. Back to simplicity, back to the breath, back to the soul. That is the healing Yogananda spoke of, not as a cure, but as a coming home. And home is not somewhere you arrive when everything is perfect. Home is the space within you that says, I am already whole, even now, even in this, because the soul doesn't need fixing. It needs remembering, and that remembering, dear one, is the beginning of your healing. That remembering, dear one, is the beginning of your healing. And perhaps the most radical part? You don't have to wait to be healed to feel whole. That's the gift Yogananda offered the world, not just to cure the body, but to liberate the spirit, even in the midst of discomfort. He often said, be calmly active and actively calm. A paradox on the surface, but the deepest truth for those on a spiritual healing path. Don't stop living while you heal. Don't stop laughing, creating, loving. Because the soul is never on pause, even when the body is. Healing isn't linear. It isn't always fast, and it rarely looks like the perfection your mind imagined. Some days, healing looks like a nap. Other days, it looks like a breakdown that clears the sky. It might be a quiet moment in meditation where, for the first time, you feel safe inside your skin. And sometimes, healing isn't about getting back to who you were. It's about rising into who you've never yet been. Yogananda called this the path of soul evolution. Every challenge is a chapter, every illness is an initiation. Not into suffering, but into strength, into clarity, into surrender. He warned against shallow optimism. He didn't teach you to chant away your pain or deny the difficulty. He taught you to go inward, to dive so deeply into the self that you touched something eternal beneath the symptoms. Because beneath the body, beneath the emotion, beneath the mind, there is something untouched. Call it soul, call it spirit, call it divine consciousness. It is uninjured, it is unstained, it is whole, and it is yours. This is why he taught meditation, not as a technique, but as a reunion. Sit, breathe, let go, and let the divine remind you, you are not the illness, you are the witness of it. And from that place, true transformation begins. You stop seeking healing as a destination and start living it as a daily devotion. You begin to trust the timing. You begin to trust your inner wisdom. You begin to trust that even this pain has a place in the story of your becoming. That's when something sacred cracks open. You realize that your worth isn't tied to your energy levels, that your value doesn't decrease on the days you rest, that healing isn't measured in speed but in depth, and slowly your life shifts. You talk to yourself with more kindness, You stop performing wellness and start embodying presence. You become the parent your body never had, gentle, patient, unconditionally loving, and in that love, your nervous system starts to exhale. Your cells begin to believe in safety again. Your inner child peeks out from behind the veil of illness and asks, "Is it safe to shine?" And you answer, "Yes, it's safe now. You're not alone anymore." That is the spiritual healing Yogananda spoke of. Not flashy, not performative, but deeply real. It's the healing that happens when you feel seen by your own soul. So if today your body aches, if your mind is tired of trying, if your heart feels heavy with all the things you cannot fix, then pause. Inhale, exhale, and remember, this is not the end. This is the turning point, the breakdown before the opening. The night before the new dawn, and the one holding it all together is not your body. It is your soul. And your soul? It is vast. It is ancient. It is sovereign. And it knows the way forward. You are not healing alone. You are being guided. Every breath is a prayer. Every tear is a release. Every quiet moment of surrender is an act of courage. Yogananda didn't want you to fear the body. He wanted you to listen to it. Not as an enemy, but as an oracle. He knew the body does not betray you. It speaks. And what it says is sacred. So listen with reverence, and let that listening become the beginning of something holy. Because your healing, dear soul, is not just a return to comfort. It is the blooming of your truth. Yogananda once said, "Live quietly in the moment and see the beauty of all before you. The future will take care of itself." So if today's message stirred something within you, then maybe this is your time. Time to pause, to breathe a little deeper, to listen, not with your ears, but with your inner knowing, to return, not to who you were, but to who you truly are. Tonight, light a candle, sit in silence, place your hand on your heart, and gently ask, "What is my soul trying to say?" You might be surprised by the answer, and when you hear it, follow it, because your healing doesn't begin out there. It begins here, in this moment, this breath, this remembering. Subscribe this channel and like this video. Thanks for watching.